Hello, welcome to Course 2, Language and Higher Order Cognition. My name is Jessica Tunney, and I will be your instructor for the next 6 weeks as we talk about the two constructs that will be presented in this course. For the first 3 weeks, we'll be talking about language and the language construct as it's laid out in the neurodevelopmental framework. And for the second 3 weeks, we'll talk about higher order cognition as it's presented in the framework for neurodevelopment that guides and organizes this course. So I'll have a chance to, hopefully, in these next few slides, I wanted to give you a little bit of a mini lecture to give you an overview of the way the course will run between now and December. And then I'm also going to be more than available and happy to talk to you and answer your questions on Wednesday at our first Zoom session from 6 to 7 p.m. I've learned a little bit about what you've been talking about and thinking about and asking about so far in Course 1 from Aaron. He and I have connected so that we can have as much continuity as possible between instructors for this course. And I also highly encourage all of you to use the contact information for me on the syllabus. And you can email me at any time with particular questions that you have, and or, as I've mentioned, come to the Zoom session and I can answer your questions live. So for the first 3 weeks of the course, we're going to focus on the language construct. And I'll begin by introducing to you the functions and components that form the building blocks of language as it's framed in this course. And of course, it's likely that many of the components will be already familiar to you from your own background in education, your experience in working with students or in the classroom. So the goal here is really not to reinvent what we know about language and student learning, but rather to understand how a deep understanding of this construct, as it's designed, can support you in identifying and addressing the learning needs of the particular students that you teach. So the features of the language construct that we present will give us a common vocabulary for thinking about students and discussing their strengths and challenges, and hopefully will also provide some insight into ways to support students in engaging with the academic work and knowledge presented in class. Okay, as an overview of the course, over the next 6 weeks, we're going to take a close look at the neurodevelopmental constructs of both language and higher order cognition. And throughout this course, we'll continually revisit questions of the ways classroom activities and school learning involve these constructs, as well as the demands placed on students in terms of their use of language and higher order cognition. Our goal is to gain a more specific understanding of these constructs and the ways they are embedded within lessons and activities, so that as teachers we can hone in on the particular struggles individuals or groups of students may have and identify the scaffolds or supports needed to engage these students in classroom learning. Course 2 is designed to follow the same general format as Course 1. Each week you'll have assignments and some readings. You'll have a discussion forum or a quick write entry to complete, and the guidelines for both the discussion forums and the quick writes, which are similar to discussion forums but much shorter. There's guidelines available on the resources tab on the Moodle page, so you can read those in detail. All assignments will be due by the end of the evening on Sunday night, and I'm going to host a Zoom meeting on 4 of the 6 Wednesday evenings from 6 to 7. You can see those dates already posted on the Moodle page if you'd like to check. And if you're unable to attend the live session, just as in Course 1, you're more than welcome to view the recorded version and then prepare a discussion forum response so that you can get credit for attendance. In addition, this course includes a 3-part lesson learning activity assignment designed really explicitly to guide you in thinking carefully about the language and higher order cognition demands in your own classroom, as well as student struggles and strengths in these construct areas. So you'll have opportunities to consider where students struggle most, where they exhibit the most strengths, and the kinds of learning activities that can support their participation in class. The full description of this assignment and all the due dates, which will be for weeks 2, 4, and 6, are available both in the course syllabus, and there's a separate learning activities project document that's available for you, again, under that resources tab on the Moodle page. I'm also aware, of course, that there are a few participants who are not currently classroom teachers, and I'm more than happy to modify the assignment if you're unable to identify a classroom that you can focus on for the purposes of this assignment. Ideally, if you can focus on a classroom and the students within it, that will support your learning about the ways these constructs make their way into classroom activities. But if that's not something that's available to you at this time, please contact me directly, or else I'll contact you if I know about it ahead of time and see what we can work out to make sure the assignment is meaningful for you and your learning. Okay, so for the first 3 weeks of the course, as I mentioned, we'll focus on the language construct. This week, I'll be introducing the building blocks of language as presented in the neurodevelopmental framework. In week 2, we'll think about the ways we use language day to day to communicate, think, and learn. And in week 3, we'll take language to school and consider the ways language intersects with other constructs in the neurodevelopmental framework and the ways language is fundamental to students' participation at school. So there are 2 main learning objectives for this week. First, we want to get a basic understanding of how language impacts student learning at school. And second, we're going to think about the vocabulary related to the language construct to aid in our discussions and analyses of student learning over the next few weeks. So to get started, after watching this video, I request that you download these slides from the Moodle page and then click on the link that's here, this PBS Misunderstood Minds page on reading difficulties. The decoding activity that you're asked to complete will really give you a sense of the challenges experienced by students who struggle with language. So you don't need to submit anything related to the activity, but I do request you to consider the following questions as you're completing the activity on your own. First, what was your experience with the decoding activity? How did you feel about the task of reading during the activity? And then, potentially, how did you feel about yourself as a reader when you encountered some of the obstacles and difficulties it presents? And finally, can you think of anyone you have known in your life, either currently or in your past, who also struggled to read? If so, consider how this struggle may have impacted that person's identity as a learner or self-esteem as an individual. And finally, once you've completed the decoding activity, please follow the link on this slide and read the PBS Misunderstood Minds page on reading basics. In particular, read the components of reading and complete the try it yourself activities posted there. After that, you can post an entry for the Quick Write discussion forum for this week. So the Quick Write is really just 100 words or less, a prompt designed to get your thinking out there and made visible for myself and for the rest of the class. And the prompt for this week will be, what particular classroom learning activities or tasks or activities do you think most impact a student who struggles to decode, and why? You can find a link for the Quick Write on the Week 1 Moodle page under Discussion Forums towards the bottom of the tabs. And if you post yours and see that your peers have already done some posting, it would be a really great time to review what they've said to get a kind of lay of the land of the kinds of ideas that you and your peers in the class are both having related to the idea of reading and decoding. Okay, well, I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday at the Zoom session. Please feel free to email me or contact me in the meantime if you have any questions at all. See you soon.